I'm Andrew Solomon, and I'm the author and narrator of Far from the Tree: Parents, Children, and the Search for Identity. Far from the Tree is a book about how families respond to various kinds of challenging and unusual offspring. Families of deaf people, families of autistic people, families of people who commit crimes, families of people who are transgender. There are 10 categories, and it's framed with the narrative of my experience as the gay child of straight parents and my experience of becoming a parent. And it's really about the ways in which love triumphs in harrowing circumstances, how people confronted with children who present challenges to love are ultimately able to achieve it. It took me 11 years to write Far from the Tree, and the research process was incredibly intense. There was all of the library research, because becoming expert on the criminal justice system and becoming expert on the genetics of autism and becoming expert on the social dynamics in the community of dwarfs are all very different areas of inquiry. I also had to enter the communities of people who were dealing with these differences or these particularities. So I had to really win some trust from people in each of these communities. I think the thing that kept me going through that long period of time was the people themselves. I tend to write about people I like or admire, and I met so many people I adored or by whom I was humbled and awed in the course of working on the book. The last chapter of the book deals with how my husband and I built a family. He's the biological father of 2 children with some lesbian friends in Minnesota. I have a daughter with a college friend who had gotten divorced but wanted to be a mother. And he and I have a son who lives with us full time. So the shorthand is 5 parents of 4 children in 3 states. The material in the last chapter was incredibly intimate. I wrote it and rewrote it and changed it. I wanted to make sure that it was not exploitative of my children. I wanted to make sure that it emerged as the celebration I wanted it to be. I wrote about the challenges of the day my son was born, when they thought he might have brain damage, which he ultimately turned out not to have. It was a passionate experience, and both in the writing of it and in the reading of it, I found myself constantly in a state of heightened emotion. And while for some of the other parts of the book I felt I had to energize myself to read them aloud, I felt in that final chapter as though I was constantly holding myself back from the edge of tears of both sadness over the difficulties and joy about the family that ultimately we were able to build. Being a narrator is a lovely opportunity to re-engage with the book, but I also feel being the author of the book makes it both easier and harder. It's harder because I'm not as experienced in narrating as perhaps some people who do this full time are, but it's also harder because I feel so emotionally drawn back into the realm of the research and am reminded of so many things as I go along. But it's easier because I think I have a clarity about what's urgent and what's important in the book, and I hope I'm able to communicate that in a lucid fashion. It's a passionate experience for me narrating my own books. It's a reliving of the whole process of writing.